Kicking off the weekend used to look a lot different than it does during these wild COVID-19 times, but luckily there are still people out there keeping our Friday nights alive. I'm Sarah from Shaw Spotlight. Joining me today, I have Grateful Greg and Guitar Doug from the Hairfarmers, Sea to Sky Country's favorite band. Thanks for joining me today, guys. How are you guys holding up? Are you enjoying isolation as much as you can?
It's been actually it hasn't been hard at all, really. There's I can imagine if you were living in some really population dense city, it might be a little bit of a different experience, but we're so lucky in the Sea to Sky region, you can basically walk out your back door and socially isolate from the rest of the world for hours at a time. So, you know, as long as you've got projects to do and you can always be learning new songs and you can get lots of exercise and practice your culinary skills, it's been great. I don't know if I'd want to do this for 18 months, but the first month has been great.
Yeah, I've been real busy. I've been building this beautiful meditation zone. I got a little Zen hut that I built on my property here, and right now the cherry blossoms are blooming. We got a huge, beautiful cherry tree. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's just about to pop, and it's got these beautiful white colors on it.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, and I built this beautiful hut. It's well insulated, so it'll be a year-round area for me to do yoga. I'm really big into meditation and yoga, and yeah, it's a nice quiet spot. It backs up against 5 acres of forest here in Squamish, so the bears and the eagles come around quite a bit. It's a really nice spot here.
Let's get to our communities a little bit. You guys have been a huge part of the Whistler culture for a long time. What's it like seeing, well, Whistler, Squamish, Pemberton, what's it like seeing Whistler specifically, where you do so many of these gigs, empty and just weird? What do you think?
I've gone past a lot of our venues that we were playing, you know, that would be packed, roaring, full of people from all over the world. And it seems like a bit of a Hollywood ghost town movie set. So I've had a bit of a lump in my throat of all the good times we've had and how I miss it. And at the same time, you know, maybe this is what the world was looking for. For the past 10 years, there's been such an accelerated growth economically and population-wise. And it seems like the whole place was going faster and faster and faster. So it's, I would love to see everybody in the audience dancing and singing to our music, and people working, you know, in the industry, bringing home money for their families. But at the same time, maybe this is the break everybody was looking for, because there's going to be a major reset after all of this. And I hope we come out of it smiling.
I hear you, Doug. It's different. Like your eyes are open to different things, like keeping things simple and just doing, like, just kind of, like you said, reset. How are you feeling, Greg?
Yeah, it's been nice. Like you said, it's like Doug said, it's kind of like maybe the break everybody's been looking for. It's definitely, you know, all this technology that we have has not really given you more time to do things. It's actually giving you more things that suck your time if you let them. So it's been great to have the opportunity to really focus on letting some of that go. You don't have to be answering emails every day anymore. You don't have to be answering the phone every day. As far as the difference of how it looks around here up in Pemberton, it's the difference is a lot more people out with their kids, a lot more people out, you know, distancing, but on the trails and on their bikes, a lot more people in their gardens, have that time to do those more grounded things that you don't always give yourself permission to do, because you're so wrapped up in the rat race that when the rat race gets taken out of the knees, you start to rediscover all the things you loved to do before you had to be on the treadmill. So it's been nice. Yeah.
Kind of wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on how you feel our communities are coming together and supporting each other. You're seeing a lot more support, and it's kind of it's heartening to see it all. How are you feeling in Pemberton when you see people around town and see like the different campaigns and stuff that are going on?
Yeah, well, you definitely on the 7 o'clock, you hear people out there banging their pots and pans in support of the frontline healthcare workers, which of course they're doing an amazing job. But that also applies to people in grocery stores and the truckers bringing the food and the fuel up, and people at the gas stations. Just anybody that's working in the middle of this is really, you're a huge part of keeping the life, as we know it's still happening. Um, Definitely, you can tell, like, on social media, you notice it a lot where anybody says, "Oh my God, I need anything," and you'll have 10 people answer right away saying, "I've got one for you," or "You can come get it," or restaurants saying, "Well, we've got too much food, we're not using it now, so I've got 10 jugs of milk in a cooler in front of our shop, just come by and pick it up," so that kind of thing. That community spirit's always been good in the Sea to Sky region anyway, but it's definitely been accelerated when we realized taking care of each other is a huge component of getting us past this interesting time of the world that we're in.
And Doug, how are you feeling about community collaboration and the community support coming together?
I think, community has always been very, very important to the people that live in Whistler and Squamish and Pemberton. They're tight, close-knit communities to begin with. And whenever there's been any kind of a loss to the community, the people have always come together. And I've noticed that since I got here. It's everybody really cares about one another. And right now, it's on a global scale. So what we're seeing beyond our communities is really a big change. Here in Whistler, we're reaching out more to see how everybody's doing. So people are calling each other that ordinarily wouldn't call. And I think, too, a lot of past grievances have been forgiven. People are looking beyond the petty gossip and the little nitpickiness, that people were doing, and because they realize how good they had it. And now that it's come to this, we're having to line up to go and do this, not because there's tourists in town, but because we have to social distance and keep our 6 feet. And creatively, it's brought a lot of parents closer to their kids. And I think that's really important at a time when we have dual income families and the kids are basically raising themselves on the internet, and no one's really kind of around. So I like to see that. I've also noticed that on social media, people are posting on the Instagram. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but at the Instagram, I noticed the content of stuff has become less esoteric and much more meaningful, like what people are actually really doing with their lives, and it's creating a positive impact for everybody in the community.
Speaking of positive impact, that's why we're actually chatting today, and thank you guys again for joining me. We're chatting today because you guys have put on a couple live performances, as a lot of people know. Couple Friday nights live streamed by Whistler Live. March 20th was Hairfarmers 1. April 3rd, I think, was Hairfarmers 2. And this Friday, tomorrow, is going to be Hairfarmers 3.
Woo!
Okay.
Yay!
How did you guys come up with this idea that you were going to do live stream shows?
It actually came from we put out a post on our Instagram and our Facebook page, just letting all the fans know that until further notice, all our shows were basically suspended due to the need to socially distance. And we had a lot of comments, a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're going to miss you guys," and everybody, hang in there and take care of each other. And then one of the comments was from Andrew from Whistler Live, and said, "We should do a live streaming show." And that was the genesis of it. It just came from a comment on our Facebook page of people offering support, since we had to cancel all our regular après ski gigs. So once we started discussing things with Whistler Live, that was the genesis of it right there.
Amazing. And you guys have decided to raise money for food banks. So the first performance was for Whistler, and then the second one was for Pemberton. That's awesome. How much money did you guys raise so far?
So far, it's been in excess of $100,000.
So when I heard that number, I was blown away. Like, I was like, did you put an extra zero in there? That is unreal.
No. Well, a big thanks goes out to Whistler Blackcomb Foundation, who Doug and I have worked with for years. We play their Wine-tastic event every year and their golf classic also, and that they're a great community foundation. So on the first one for Whistler Blackcomb Foundation matched donations up to 20,000, and for the Pemberton show they did up to 15, which they'll be doing again for the Squamish show. So yeah, both between the generosity of all the people that tuned in to watch us and Whistler Blackcomb Foundation, yeah, the number's been it's over 100 now, 100,000. It's amazing, especially in this time with financial uncertainty for so many people and their jobs and their families, that they could still be so generous. It's just goes to show that community spirit we were just talking about. It's mind blowing.
Doug, did you think that you could get to these kind of numbers with just a online performance?
I'll answer this one. Yeah, I was pretty impressed myself by the numbers that were generated for the food bank. One of the people I teach yoga with, Gizem, actually works as a social service person in the Whistler outreach community, and she's always done the food portion of it. So we kept in touch, and then she said she right away she reached out to me and thanked me so much, and then I gave a shout out to Greg right away to tell him that our efforts have been recognized, and then the numbers started to show up, and I kept seeing them go up. And she was saying that usually they have about 35 people that come in on a regular basis that can't make ends meet, that were familiar faces, but this pandemic has created a whole different strata of people that have come in that ordinarily wouldn't have to seek help. So I think it came at the right time, and I had people texting us throughout the performance saying that they were going to donate this much amount and that much amount, and they're very generous people. They weren't $5 here, $10 here. These are like $500, $1,000. And because we live in a corridor where the most vulnerable people live shoulder to shoulder with people that are of means. They're really talented. This little corridor has a pocket of really wealthy, generous people. They're not tight-fisted. They really appreciate our community because they have homes in Whistler and they go back and forth. So there's a good link there, and I think that might have had to do something with it. And of course, the Hairfarmers have been for 20 years been the background music for their endeavors, making babies, raising babies, and now the babies are getting married and they're making babies. So the Hairfarmers are kissing babies and playing music to all of this stuff and coming together as a community.
Can I ask, was there a reason why you chose, say, the food bank over a lot of the other kind of charities that could use support right
now? When we first decided to pick charities to go towards, when we learned that Whistler Blackcomb Foundation was going to be matching donations for certain charities, we thought it would be wise to reach out to them and ask them who they thought had the most needs, since they've got their pulse on that part of the community. They work with all these partnerships so intimately that we thought they would know who was needing it more than anyone else. So it was kind of a group decision between Doug and myself and Whistler Live and Whistler Blackcomb Foundation. He said, let's put our good where it'll do the most. And through our community partners, the general consensus was that the food banks were definitely in need. So it was a pretty easy decision.
So you got to make that decision with May?
Yeah. We were talking with May Madden, and it was a no-brainer for us. I mean, over the years, we've Doug and I have supported a lot of different charities, whether it's the Canadian Avalanche Foundation or children's festivals. The list goes a long way, and it's because it's important to give back. This community's been so generous to us and given us so much over the years that you have to. If you're invested in a place where you live, you should definitely contribute. So we're always happy to help when we can. But this is taking it to a whole new level. Like when you asked if we were surprised with the numbers, yeah, I mean, I remember a conversation for the first show. We were thinking, how many people are going to watch? And and how do you think they're going to donate? And we had these conservative, first guesses. And within the first half hour of the show, Andrew from Whistler Live's holding up signs going, we've already raised, this much. You see the whole thing just grew wings and took off. So, I mean, and that's just a testament to how amazing the Sea to Sky area is. And it's not just the Sea to Sky, it's fans from Hong Kong, from Australia, from all over the US and Canada that love it here so much that they feel inspired to donate to help out this place too, even if they don't live here. So that's a really cool thing. One other thing I wanted to tell people about for this show is that a good friend of ours, Steve Leggy from Kahuna Paddleboards, has donated a $1,500 paddleboard to be auctioned off at this show too. So if you're in the market for a really good, really nice paddleboard, tune in on Friday and you'll have an opportunity to bid on it.
So the support just keeps coming in from Whistler Back Home Foundation to Kahuna. That's amazing. So let's actually talk about those performances. They've really kind of taken on a life of their own. Like, people are throwing their own little self-isolation parties in their living room. There's videos of people dancing. Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to my girlfriend, Beth. She's a trainer, and you guys probably don't know this, but she throws a pre-party to your guys' party, but she does like wine and exercise and does like a bit of a Zumba dance with wine. And then whoever's on the Zoom call hangs out until you guys go on, and then the party continues from there. So these are the types of things that you guys have inspired to happen. Like, how does that make you feel that it's gotten this big? And the last show had over 1,100 viewers at one point. That's crazy.
Pretty cool. I'm pretty impressed by the amount of viewers that we got. And we're a party band. We're not a church choir. And we come in hairy, and we come in funny and fuzzy some days, and sometimes we don't come home at all. we just stay out with our fans all night, and then we show up depending on where we are on the road. But it's nice that people are carrying that spirit with them wherever they go and around the world, like Greg was saying, Hong Kong, Australia, and especially in Europe, where they've been hit the hardest. And we have a lot of fans around New York area that are just really suffering with these numbers. So we bring a bit of levity to all that every fortnight, every couple of weeks. And the fact that people are carrying on our Friday tradition, as we've done for the past 20 years together, is a real indicator of how this all works as a human entity. The Hairfarmers are part of a human experiment.
And Greg, how do you take it all in, like hearing these numbers and that people are looking forward to their Friday night living room parties with you guys?
So yeah, I mean, the amazing thing about, we asked how we felt about the numbers. I guess Whistler Live has left the shows up online since the first two. And from what I've been told, we've had over 50,000 people visit those shows and listen since it happened. Whether it's, people coming back multiple times, it's impossible to know. But it's just part of that, thing about music, is that it binds people together. It gives them memories that last forever. And we were actually supposed to be leaving for Scotland pretty soon to go play a wedding over there for a couple that met at one of our shows at Merlin's years ago. And we've stayed in touch. They've come out every year skiing since. And we're kind of really sad we don't get to play for them, but they're going to reschedule their wedding for next year. So we're going to go to Scotland in May 2021, as long as all goes well. And, it's just that amazing connection with those people. It's happened, to us for 20 years. And it really shows now that we've, been forced to do these shows without an audience. In fact, it's given us let us know how big our audience really is, because they're tuning in from everywhere and they're sending us tons of love and support, and of course supporting those charities. So yeah, the numbers are, I never would have guessed it's going to be like this. It's been really cool.
I was talking to Andrew from Whistler Live, and he said there was actually at one point there was over 30 viewers from different countries. So you guys are like really well known in this corridor, and you're a staple here, but that global reach is pretty unreal, especially in this day and age. People could be watching anything on their TV. They can put anything up on YouTube, they can put anything, but people are coming back to you over 50,000 times. It's got to be that connection to you guys, that connection to Whistler, the sea to sky, right? That's so cool. I love it. You said that you like get into your performance mode. What is it like getting into performance mode when you're just in your garage with you two, and I think Andrew's there and your sound guy? That's it?
I think the Hairfarmers at any given moment are ready to sing you a song, and make that connection with people. We love people from all walks of life. And like you say, we had 30 different countries tuning into our feed. And every show that we play is different. Like the leads I play on the guitar, they're never going to be the same. It's something I picked up watching Jerry Garcia play as a kid, going to Grateful Dead shows. He never played the same solo twice. And that's part of a creative thing, because people wake up every morning. It's like, what am I going to do today? How can I change things today? Will my day be different? Some people are looking for a change, and other people are looking for the same thing. So what we deliver is the same thing, and that's consistency. We're consistently creating a new and fresh environment for people to tune into. So Greg has a way of adapting very, very quickly to some of the changes and the feels and the tempos, because I don't like to play songs like the record. I like to make it our own version. And people have identified with that version that they hear the Hairfarmers play, and you can hear it right away when we fire up. There's a distinct sound. My guitar is very loud. Greg's percussive style is incredibly unique. He's developed from one conga and a tambourine set up on milk crates to having a really professional sound that's inimitable. There's no way anybody could try and replicate what he's doing. So those are very unique things. And the way that we come together with our harmonies, Greg's a very high tenor, and his falsetto is second to none. So when we identified that with our audience, the audiences always want to come back to something they know that is familiar and comforting. And we're a good chunk of people's best times of their lives. So, when we're singing a Green Day song, I hope you had the time of your life, and that rings true to us. So when we get into the moment of a show, like let's say the Hairfarmers won on that feed, we decided that we were going to party. So we partied with our audience, and we had a real good time, and we let loose. And then on the second show, it was a little more serious. We really wanted to deliver the goods as far as the musicality content. And tomorrow's show, we got a couple aces up our sleeves. We won't let you know until after the show what those were. But we've got some pretty cool stuff. I guess the cat's out of the bag now with the Steve Legge Kahuna board. But some cool stuff is coming down the pipe. And that's something you can self-isolate too. You can get on your paddleboard in the middle of nowhere and self-isolate and then come back. So that's pretty cool. But I think, when we get into the moment, Greg and I usually just look at each other and we have a vibe. And the vibe's different every day. We're like snowflakes, I guess. Or none of us are different the same day the next.
I was going to ask you guys, you don't plan anything before your shows. You like to feel the room, as you said, right?
Yeah.
But how does that work when there literally is no room?
In between the shows, so from the last show to this one and from the first one to the second one, people would comment on social media a lot saying, that was great. Next time, can you play, A, B, or C? So we've been noting requests, at least mentally, for the last 2 weeks. And of course, in the moment, people are requesting live and in the comments on the live stream feed. So, and then we've have Andrew will be fielding us requests. Well, they'll tell us in between songs, or hold up a little sign and say, oh, play this for this guy. We had some friends from Fernie the other day say, hey, if you play Rocket Man, we'll donate $1,000 to the Fernie Food Bank. So right away, we played Rocket Man. So even though we don't have an audience to read per se right in front of us, we're very aware of the audience that's listening all over the world, because we're getting feedback in real time. So that's pretty cool. It's, it's a new experience, and it might be our reality for a while. That might be our outlet. Is will be this will be what it is for a bit. But it doesn't feel that much different because, like Doug said, if we get to cast a spell when we play together, and even if it's for two people in the room, whether it's Andrew and our Matt, our tech guy, we're still trying to blow their socks off. We're still trying to get them to smile or get them to move or to look up and go, whoa, did they just do that? So you don't need 200 people in a room to get off playing music, but we're very aware that there's 1,000 people at a time listening all over the world too. So it's not a lot different in a lot of ways because it still feels like home for us on stage because we spend so much time together on stage. It's such familiar territory that I don't know. I'm sure Doug feels the same way, but I've been missing it. I mean, we're used to playing so much, so often, especially the time of year, that it feels weird not to. So when we get a chance to, it feels really good. It's really nice.
So a little extra energy, a different kind of energy goes into these because you're amped up for it. That's really cool. A note from Andrew, actually, he said that at one point there were so many people watching and there's so many comments coming in that he couldn't keep up with them. So if you are watching tomorrow around Friday, the Squamish show, just be aware that maybe there's so many comments that they might not be able to get to your request. You guys touched on sound. It sounds great. So how are you making that happen in a live event like that? It seems like it'd be a bit of a challenge.
So what we got is we got this really high quality sound system that was developed by several sound engineers years ago. One of the guys from the Hopping Penguins, the famous Canadian bar band in the 80s, was big into these European speakers that we use. And he led me down the path of doing a really good sound production and getting the right gear so that we didn't have to pay to hire sound gear guys, the hire companies, because it was taking basically the entire budget and we'd end up playing for free. So a long time ago, we developed a distinct, clear, like hit you in the chest, shake your ribs, and make your butt move sound. So, and it's quite portable. So wherever we are in the world playing, we always have pretty much the same layout, the same characteristic for sound. Now, what the Whistler Live guys have done is they've come in with some very good quality microphones, and we go right into a digital interface coming out of our board. So it's a blend of our live sound and a direct signal coming out of the board. So we don't lose anybody. And it comes in uninterrupted. And it's a very clear signal. I did a couple of tweaks to our last show just to reduce any kind of red lines, because we do tend to peak quite a bit with our sound. We're fairly dynamic in our quiet, loud.
That is very understandable, especially if you guys get a little boost and you really want to get into it at some point, you're going to get a bit louder. So we're close to wrapping up here. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about, or is there anyone you wanted to give a shout out to or mention today?
Yeah, I'd like to do a huge shout out to our first responders. I live really close in nature, and yesterday I was here in my garden, and I could see this big haze of smoke going over Mount Fee behind us and towards Tantalus. And I looked over at the peak and I was something like, this doesn't look right. There's a haze. And sure enough, I went up to the lookout and looked at Tantalus, and there was a massive fire going on. This is the worst drought I think I've seen in any April. Usually we get quite a bit of rain between March and April. But I did want to do a huge shout out to our medical services people, to the nurses, not just here in our beautiful communities, but around the world. Hats off to you guys. Gotta say, you guys have done a stand-up job. So I commend you on your efforts, and I really hope that we get through this pandemic sooner than later, and that we can get back to living our best life.
Thanks, Doug. I hope you're staying safe down there. I mean, I can see the haze from Pemberton, and I have friends commenting that live in Whistler that can see it. So, I mean, we don't really need anything on top of this pandemic. So it's really unfortunate that Squamish is dealing with that right now. But good thing we have a strong first responder team. Greg, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'd certainly want to echo Doug's sentiments, thanking all our healthcare workers and frontline workers and first responders. And also a great big thanks to Whistler Live, of course, for facilitating the tech part of getting us online live streaming, and Whistler Blackcomb Foundation for being so generous, and Glenn and Shauna for sharing their awesome garage, and just all our amazing fans that have been so generous and so supportive, and everybody in our communities and everywhere really for trying to flatten the curve and keep up with the isolation and just supporting each other. Keep it up, keep supporting each other. If we all do our part like we have been, I hopefully we'll get over the hump on this really soon, and then we can get back to, like Doug said, living our best lives and having one heck of a kick-ass summer, and getting an audience in front of us again. We'd love to see you all in person, but we'll settle for online for now.
Yeah, living our best lives right now. We have to do it in our living room, dancing to you guys, which is happening Friday, April 17th, raising money for the Squamish Food Bank and Squamish Helping Hands. That's you guys. Thanks again. I do have, it's at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I do have one last question. I'm just wondering what you guys will take with you from this whole crazy experience.
I hope that the takeaway will be that everybody learns how to just downshift a bit more often. Just step off the treadmill, connect with your families, your loved ones, your friends, and remember that this whole existence in life can be very fleeting. Don't waste too many days doing things you don't want to do, being grumpy or upset about anything. Just take the time to enjoy your surroundings and your life and your family and friends more. And I think that's it's almost a lesson that's being imposed on us now. Maybe that's just the universe's way of teaching us all how to get back to that a bit more. I think that's what the takeaway will be for me, for sure. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And Guitar Doug, what are you going to take with you from all this?
It's been quite a learning curve, like for the last month. Yesterday, like last night, I was talking to my daughter, Seiji, and she was saying she's finding it pretty hard because she went to Montreal to go study. And I just told her that next year's courses were all going to be online. So there's no point in her staying there. So she's going to move back to Pemberton and finish her university online. So there's a lot of changes, and every day we've just got to become more and more aware of what is happening, because we'll be able to look back on this and it will be a fleeting glimpse. Life changes. This isn't going to last forever. So everybody just hang in there, and we're all going to get through this. Really, I promise. I know it will. Nothing lasts forever, even pandemics.
All right, amazing talking to you guys today. I'm so excited for tomorrow, and I can't wait to hear how much more money you raise for the Squamish Food Bank.
Do you have any requests?
Oh, geez. I will have to go with, can you play me Sublime?
Sure.
Can you do, let's just stick with one that, Lovin' is what I got.
Good choice. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Have fun tomorrow. And do you want to play us out here, Guitar Doug?
Sure, I'll lead you with a little outro.
A little outro. Amazing. Thanks, guys.